Tubers, tubettes, crazy people. You read it right, folks. The title of this video is She's Going to Suck You Dry. And I think we all know that I'm talking about your bank account. Now, what I'm about to share with you are some of my own experiences of being taken advantage of over here by our lovely opposite sex, and some real life, true life stories that I've accumulated over the years of talking to guys. And the purpose of this video is not to give you advice, because you're going to do what you're going to do, but to maybe arm you with a little bit of information, a little bit of insight, and maybe give you something to look out for so that perhaps, just perhaps, you can avoid making some of the same mistakes that myself and others have made. Okay, here comes my little video. Alrighty then. I feel I should preface this video by saying I'm fully aware from news reports and what I've been reading is that I don't know why it's happening, but there is some widespread loneliness and isolation and depression that's taking place in America. I think that when you're an older man or woman and you're living alone or in solitude or without much interaction with family or friends, that pretty much just comes with the territory. But I think that this whole epidemic is across the boards, from old men to little kids. And I don't pretend to understand why. Why do I bring up such a negative topic? Well, it's also the holiday season. This is being filmed in the middle of December. Christmas is around the corner. Those feelings may start to become intensified if you're lonely or depressed. Why do I bring that up? I bring it up because I just think that it's good to be self-aware that you may be extra vulnerable at this point in time with those type of emotions going on throughout your body and your psyche. And so we're going to be talking about how guys have gotten hurt financially with the ladies here in the Philippines. And first of all, let me say that I know scams and all that go on worldwide, but since I'm here, and if you're watching this, you're probably thinking about coming here, so we'll just keep it focused on the Philippines. Okay, so there's online dating and then there's in-person dating. I don't think one is better than the other. Whatever floats your boat is fine with me. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I have heard horror stories from guys that have met women online, and they have started off very simple, very, very polite, very nice. They've entertained the guy. Some of them are really good at what they do. They tell this man exactly what he wants to hear. He finds himself being more and more attracted to her, finds himself being more and more emotionally involved with her, and she suddenly comes up with a small problem. And that's kind of the game that gets played. And so he says, oh, because we're men, we like to come in and be knights in shining armor, and we like to fix things and solve problems. That's in our DNA. And so we throw some money at them. Here, you've got a problem. Well, I can fix it. I know that you're having a tough time right now. I know that you live in a province. I know that you're out of work, blah, blah, blah. And then the stories just keep intensifying. And there are guys that are just, they've been drawn in, and now they feel like they've got to keep up. And it just gets into silly amounts of money. And so the only cure for that is just say no, is my humble opinion. If a woman needs $1 or $2 because she needs what's called load for her phone or get an internet connection, and you want to send her $5, rock on. But if it starts getting into silly numbers, I would say, what would she have done if she hadn't have met you? How would she have solved that problem? And how many more people have those kind of problems? And does she even have those problems? So I'll stop lecturing. You get the drift. Recently, I've been talking with guys that have been meeting women online, and some have had the horror stories, and then it seems like when it rains, it pours. The last couple, 3 weeks, I've met with 3 or 4 different guys, and they're all excited. We're meeting for coffee, and they're going to be meeting the woman, or they've already met her, and they're getting along great. And so the first guy that I was talking to mentioned Christian Filipina. He said, yeah, I met her on Christian Filipina. And I said, oh, okay, cool. And I've heard of Christian Filipina. I figured it's just another site, and big deal. And we just moved on and continued talking. And then a second guy and a third guy mentioned this Christian Filipina. And they were all doing really well. And their relationships, they didn't have the money issues. They didn't have all the drama that I keep hearing. And so I started digging into it. And the second guy said, yeah, he says, you can join. And they actually vet the women. They verify that their name and their age and their marital status. So you know where you stand with them. If Betty Lou tells you she's 28 years old and she's single, well then she's been verified. If they will give you a telephone call when you join, is what he told me. I said, what do you mean a telephone call? He says, yeah, if you join, they call you and they kind of give you a welcome call, and they ask you if you need any help with your profile. Because a lot of guys like me are technically challenged with the computer. So if you need help with uploading the photo or writing the profile or how to put this here and that there and navigate the system, navigate the page and what it means, they'll help you. And I thought, well, that's a first. I've never heard of that. And then guy number 3 reiterated that. He said, yeah, I've met this girl. I'm getting ready to go see her. And I met her. I said, where'd you meet her? He said, Christian Filipina. And he said that he actually called them and said, because everybody has a member number. He has one, she has one. He said, I'm talking to member number 123. Can you verify some information for me? And sure enough, I forget what the details of the conversation was, but she told him this, and this. And they got on the phone, and when he called them, they said, yeah, that's true. This, and this are all legit statements. So he said, wow, she's telling me the truth. And I thought, yeah, I can dig it. That's important, to get the truth. Even bad news. Give me the truth. Don't lie to me. The last thing you want to meet, especially when starting a relationship, is a liar. So I asked him, I think it was not the last guy I talked to that did the exact same thing, told me pretty much the same information. I said, how did you find out about it? Because I've heard about it, but never looked into it because I'm a married man. I'm not dating. He said, well, I was watching another channel, and they mentioned it, and they had a link to it. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've contacted them, and I've got a link to Christian Filipina, and it's in my description box. I'm doing this because I think that if I was to be a guy that was looking to go on and find a relationship online, that would be the source that I would use. I like the fact that there's a buffer between me and the woman that I can call and verify. And also, if I could call, if a woman, say, that I met there asked me to send her X amount of dollars, I can call the Christian Filipina and tell them, hey, this, member number 16 is asking me for money. Well, they'll get on the phone and they can suspend, and they do keep the site updated. Not everybody is going to be perfect. Someone's always going to slip through the cracks. So I'm not telling you that it's the perfect end-all, be-all, but if it was something that I was going to do, that would be the entity that I would utilize. So I'll put it up there. It's free. If you want to check it out, cool. If you want to leave a comment about your experience with them or non-experience with them, I'd love to hear that too. But then, the last guy that just told me about his success story with Christian Filipina, and he's meeting this girl, his next statement to me was, and I told her when I got here that I'm going to give her an allowance. And I'm laughing because when he said that to me, I just hung my head down and shook it. And he goes, uh-oh, Paul, did I do something wrong? And I said, well, maybe, maybe not. But the reason I grimace like that is I have two questions for you. I said, number one, did she ask you for an allowance? I said, no. I said, has she ever asked you for anything financially? She said, no. She just wants to meet me. I said, I made the same mistake when I met my first, what we'll call girlfriend. This was a woman I was with for about 3-4 months. I decided that it was important for her to have pocket money. And my number was 8,000 pesos a month. That was, I think, $40 a week. And the only reason I offered that was because I thought we're not always going to be together. And she doesn't have any source of income. She's reliant on me. We're living as boyfriend and girlfriend. She's got grown kids that she told me, you know, because she was 38 or 39 when I met her. Her kids, she said, were finishing up their college and they weren't going to be an issue and blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you this money, and that has to last you all month because I've only got so much coming in. So you're going to need to budget that $8,000 the same way I budget my pension. Oh, sure, she said. And I'm telling this to the guy. And I said, you know what? It wasn't 48 or 72 hours. That 8,000 was history. What did she do? I don't really know. She told me that she sent it to her kids because that weren't going to be any problem because they're grown, because somebody needed school books or somebody needed this or that or the goat died. I forget the stories. But here I was 72 hours later, and I was right back to square one. And for the rest of the month, I was ponying up for anything she needed that was supposedly to be pin money, you know, pocket money, that if I wasn't with her, she could buy herself a Coke. Well, whenever she went out with the girls, she'd say, can I have some money? So I did, and now we've already way blown the 8,000 peso budget. So, genius that I am, I decided on month number 2 I'd do the exact same thing. I said, okay, here's your 8,000. I understand, I was very naive. I just didn't know. I said, here's your 8K. I promised it to you. I'm a man of my word. So here's your money. Now, this month, there's not going to be any more over and above all this. And she assured me, oh, yeah, I'll be fine. It'll be good. Well, you probably already know the answer. She blew through the money within a week. And once again, I was inking up. And it was really grating on me. It was getting on my nerves. It was the money, for one thing. I'll say that. Everybody says it's not the money, it's the principle. Well, number one, it was the money because I have a finite amount coming in, but it was also the principle. It's like, you know what? I gave you my word. I'm going to give you this money, and you gave me your word that you're going to budget it accordingly, and you didn't. You didn't keep your promise. So that was like a big turnoff to me. The lie that she told me. And I gave her a third chance. And you know what? Same thing, third strike, a year out. And that was the end of us. I think we lasted 3.5 months. And poof, I said, you know what? You're going to run me right into the bankruptcy or poorhouse. Because not just the 8,000, but it was always, she needed this, she needed that. If we went to Robinson's and I didn't buy her some perfume, she would pout for a handbag. And this was expensive stuff, not in my budget. And I just knew. I said, you know what, this is ridiculous. This is going to drive me into the poorhouse. And that's the story that I related to him. So I think he took it to heart. I didn't want to make the guy feel bad, but I felt that it was important that I at least share with him one of the mistakes that I made when I was first here. And he's now first here. He's all set to get going with this girl that he met, woman that he met. And I just said, you know what, brother, just, you've made the promise, but keep an eye on it. And that's one of the things that I would look out for. Now, the other way that guys meet ladies is here. They get boots on the ground. They decide, oh, I'm going to get there. First of all, they want to find out if they even like it here, which is smart. They're going to see if they can adjust to the weather, if it is what they heard it was. And let's just say, we'll go ahead and say, because there is attrition. There are guys that show up here and look around for a week, a month, 2 months, a day, whatever. And they go, I don't like it. I don't like the weather. I don't like the infrastructure. I don't like this. I don't like that. It's not for me. Vamos, they're gone. And I applaud them for trying. I say, good deal. You gave it a shot. You didn't like it. You know yourself well enough that you're not going to be happy here. So good on you. But the other guys that stay, I always say, slow down. I don't like to give advice, but the one piece of advice I say is slow down. Another piece of advice that I'll tell you, or actually it's not advice, it's more of an observation, is that when you are new in the Philippines, and I fit this category back in the day, you are obvious. You are glowing like the sun that you're new. You just have that deer, I had it, you got that deer in the headlight look. You're in shock and awe of all this stuff going on. All this stuff is coming at you, and you're excited, and you're anxious, and you're friendly, and you're being generous, and you're like, wow, it only costs that much, so maybe you're flashing some money. That can be a big problem. If you're here, your boots on the ground, and whatever method you're using to meet somebody, I say, you know what? Play it down. I don't care if you're the richest guy on the planet. Play it down, your wealth. Don't brag. Don't bring out big wads of cash, because what you're doing is you're taking what might be a perfectly good, nice, innocent girl, and you're tempting her, and you're bringing her down a road that she doesn't need to see. But if you remain simple, if you remain low-key, if you remain modest about your means, no matter how much you've got, she will actually respect you more. She will relate to you more, in my humble opinion. I used to make a joke. I still make it with my wife. I go, I'm not a foreigner. I'm a poriner. I only have a little bit of money. And she laughs at me all the time when I say that. But it's really remember that. You are not a foreigner. You're a poriner. Keep your wallet low key. Don't be flashy about it. Set some boundaries. Set some parameters. This is the second shot, the third shot, the fourth shot. I don't know how many times you've been married or relationships. This is probably, though, the last shot, if you're my age, but you're going to get at it. Why not do it right? Keep it cool. I was in a coffee shop with my wife. There was a freshly scrubbed, brand new expat sitting in the booth with a woman. I could not help. It wasn't eavesdropping, but they were right next door. It was late in the day. My wife and I were just going in to chill out for a minute before the ride home. It had been a long one, and they were talking. And May was not really even listening. She was just on her phone, jicky-jacking around, talking to her sister. I couldn't help but hear it. And as I listened to it, I was just smiling. And I thought, you poor son of a gun. Because I heard this woman talk to this guy, and I could tell by her attire, I could tell by her English, I could tell by what she was saying, that she was just taking this guy and setting him up for the kill. And I know that sounds vicious, and that is not indicative of 98% of the Filipinas out here. But she fell into that 2%. And like I said, my wife didn't say a single thing during all that. She just kept her head down. And I was not looking at him. I was listening to it. I heard the pitch. She was telling him how she loved to do this and she loved to do that. And if he goes and hangs out with her, she can save him money because she's a local and he's not. And she's going to show him this and take him there and blah, 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 blah. And again, it was just her demeanor, her look, the way she was dressed, that I knew this was not her first rodeo. And I felt like taking the guy and saying, excuse me, can I talk to you for a minute? But it's none of my business. And so I didn't. Eventually they got up, they walked outside, called a trike, and off they went to I don't know where. And my wife being my wife, I said, did you hear that? And she said, yeah, I heard it. I said, what do you think is going to happen? She says, he's not going to have any money left at the end of the month. I mean, even she knows that what was going on, and she wasn't really paying attention. But she said, no. She said, that girl is a bad girl. That's the way May puts it. She says she's like, she's not a simple girl. She's flashy, she's social, she's got all this going on. She's saying all that. She said, she didn't understand a lot of the conversation because it was all in English. But she said, that girl is going to take that man for everything that's in his wallet if he lets her. So that's my little speech here about guarding yourself when you're here. Guard yourself online. Guard yourself. Set up some boundaries. Set up some parameters. That's what I would do. I hate to say do it because I just want to make it clear that this is something I would do. If I meet somebody in person, I'm not going to be taking them to the fanciest restaurant within the first 5 minutes. That's something that comes later. Keep it simple, stupid. Watch yourself. Have fun. God bless all of you. I'll see you in the next video.